equity, and opportunities.
TechPoint is one of the driving forces behind Indiana's digital innovation. It's a nonprofit focusing on growth initiatives, and to that end, it does a lot of reports and research. Ting Gootee is the president and CEO of TechPoint and shares with us some interesting information from the most recent Employer Insights report.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
We like to take a very data-driven approach and to gain a deep understanding of what's actually happening in the marketplace. And we typically use that to drive our strategic approach and filling out the gaps or drive systematic change we believe are necessary, important to for continued economic growth for our community. One of the things most of us are reading a lot of the news headlines around AI's impact around talent, particularly entry-level talent. So we did the same, and the stuff that start to come out around some of the national data is super fascinating. For instance, the tech adoption curve that's been happening, and each curve is compressing very consistently 50% less time compared to previous cycle in terms of it takes for the mass adoption to happen. So the PC era that most of us are old enough went through, that took about 20 years to hit mainstream. The internet era took about 10 years, and the mobile era, the smartphones, most of us remember the smartphones, about 6 years. Guess what? The AI era we're currently in now, as if the history repeats itself, probably likely to take about 3 to 5 years. So the pace of change is happening very fast. And what we're also seeing from a national perspective, not only the tech adoption itself, but how it's translating into our headcount and talent needs in the marketplace. We are seeing our report and data shows that college graduates, potentially, especially some of the STEM level graduates, are really having a harder time compared to prior years in terms of landing entry-level roles. So we have done, based on that, we've done a lot of stakeholder surveys, employer surveys, interviews locally. Not surprisingly, it's very consistent with the national trends. Technology adoption is the #1 priority for most employers across the board, company sizes of different sectors. And AI and machine learning skills, the #1 skill set employers are looking for. And folks are more prioritizing existing workforce training opportunities to up-leveling, to catching up with the tech adoption trends compared to entry-level hiring. So it has a lot of implication to what we ought to be focusing on longer term, but also potentially short-term disruption we're seeing in the labor marketplace. The through line is experience, proven experience is the key, which gets into when they hire, they tend to prioritize hiring more experienced folks. And then the folks on the workforce, they recognize the need to upskill and then reskill existing workforce. Now, the population we cannot ignore for our long-term prosperity is the folks just coming out of school or going into our school year. So we're making a very concerted effort along with our education leader to say, what is the industry tech skills industry truly need from the most in-demand perspective? How do we make our system a lot more nimble in response to provide the kind of skills the employers are looking for? Indiana is very fortunate that we passed legislation a few years ago to make computer science a graduation requirement for high school, because we knew for, well, better part of the last decade, we didn't have enough supply to meet the market demand. This is the first year, the incoming freshman, high school freshmen, they will be the one to meet the graduation requirement. So we have Indiana is fortunate to have that pathway really laid out in terms of quickly populating the most in-demand tech skills, whether you call it computer science or AI skills or data skills, right? Those are kind of related. But the key is to how do we making sure the most in-demand tech skills are mapped into the curriculum that can be quickly populated into through our education system. So we're very bullish in the sense we got the leaders, education leaders who recognize the importance, and we have a pathway to get that done with industry leaders who are ready. We just need to make that happen. it will be interesting seeing what's next. Like we just talked about, the adoption cycle is happening very fast. Right now it's all about AI. In the 3 to 5 years, it's likely to be something else. That's why the mandate to, or the intentionality around making our entire system a lot more nimble, that's the way we see how it can truly move the needle consistently and over time. Indiana really takes a lot of pride in being able to grow in things. That's our strong ag sector. To make things, that's our manufacturing sector, and to move things. And that's our logistics sector, and I'll argue to heal things, right? That's our strong life science. Lilly is a perfect example. And I like to say, now with technology, we have an opportunity to transform things. And that's really what's happening in all sectors and all company sizes. You're absolutely right. I mean, the tech's transformative force is all-encompassing, and our charge to make sure for everybody, every community, every company is staying on the cutting edge and being that globally competitive. That does involve constantly challenging ourselves and asking the question, what's happening in the marketplace? How can we stay ahead of the curve? And the good news is, Peggy, as I'm sure you, through your interviews, there are a lot of folks who are doing that in our community. Lilly, putting it as another shiny example. They can do it at a scale, so can everybody else.
For more information on all of today's segments, visit our website. You can get there with the QR code right now. Next up, Fright Night at the Races, a Hoosier Park tradition. Stay with us.